And how are you different? If you say, here's what I'm going to do differently than what Todd Stroger's been doing.
The gradual repeal of the 1% increase in the sales tax. And again, gradual so that you can bring down expenses as you're bringing down income. I think it'd be irresponsible just to eliminate it immediately, because the cuts you'd have to make would be tremendous, and you need time to figure out where it's appropriate to make cuts. The second thing is that I would make permanent the independent governing board. I haven't heard a commitment from him that he would do that. I think that's really necessary. We want to have professional management of our healthcare system, of our hospitals and our public clinics. I think we've got to put more emphasis on alternatives to incarceration, alternatives to detaining people in Cook County Jail. And that means working with the state's attorney, the public defender, who's under the purview of the president, the chief judge, the sheriff, and saying, look, we're in trouble with the federal government on a chronic basis for overcrowding at the jail. Let's look at diversion programs. In other words, nonviolent offenders who've not yet been tried.
And that's all you're talking about here are nonviolent offenders, I'm assuming, correct?
That's right. I'm not talking about people who are accused of violent crimes, but nonviolent offenders.
Which largely drug offenses are what we're talking about, right?
Largely. And actually, one of the interesting things is that almost everybody who comes into Cook County Jail cannot pass a drug test, whether they're there for a drug offense or not. So it's their addiction that's brought them, in part anyway, into the criminal justice system. So Sheriff Dart has a program, a diversion program for a couple hundred men that takes them into the jail for the day from 9 to 4. They're part of the jail complex. But they work on a 12-step program for people who have addiction problems. They're tested randomly. As long as they stay clean, they stay out of the jail in this day program, day reporting program. If they violate their obligation to stay clean, they go back into the general jail population. But they work with them first on their addiction and then on education and training programs while they're awaiting trial and sentencing.
Well,
and sometimes that can be an extended period.
But even if you had an early release program for nonviolent offenders, let's say you're saving money as a result of doing that, you still need to spend money on the other side, do you not? And I'm talking about the things that you're mentioning there in terms of training and education, so that you reduce recidivism and have a situation where people not only are not just moving in and out of the criminal justice system.
Right.
Drug offenses or whatever.
Right. We don't want the Cook County Jail to have a revolving door. And the kind of program that I talked about is designed to try to give people a chance to move into a more productive life, dealing with their addiction and then moving into education and training. At the back end, when people have been convicted, I think we need to look at alternate sentencing, more people to drug treatment, sentencing more people to boot camp, things that will hopefully help them get their lives back together, as opposed to detaining them and basically sitting in the jail for a long period and they come out in the same place they were when they went in.